Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're here with the Tuesday video and we've got plenty to talk about. Jackie, you're outside. Do you want to tell us what's going on there?
Yep, I'm locked out my own house. I've just driven back from Big John's golf day and I'm home alone, but I can't get in without a key, unfortunately. I don't fancy climbing any windows and up high ladders, so I'll just get a key from my daughter when she finishes college.
How was the golf day with Big John?
It was great, good turnout. Big man's looking well, and good seeing a few faces there: Mark O'Neill, Petrov, Tom Boyd. So it was good. It was a good day yesterday, and raised a lot of money for his foundation.
Fantastic. Euan, how are you getting on? You're not locked out.
No, I'm fine. I don't know how much light you're getting from here, but like if you see me sort of squinting at the camera, then I can only apologise. But no, I'm fine. I'm ready as ever, Hamish.
Ready to have a debrief again, guys. It just seems like every time we're on, there's a kind of negative Celtic result to talk about. We are struggling, 3 defeats in 6 league games. It's quite interesting because there seems to be a bit of a kind of 2 schools of thoughts at the moment. One group of Celtic fans saying, this is a team that's going to take time, we need to be patient. The other side saying that, this is unacceptable. 3 defeats in 6 league games, 6th in the league, I think we are. As always, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Jackie, where do you come down in that kind of argument?
Yeah, I think there's been signs of positive stuff as we spoke about before. I thought the weekend was disappointing, looked like a bit of a hangover for the European game as well. But we know from experience how difficult Livingston is to go there on that pitch, and especially not with your strongest 11. And I thought that proved the case. Again, the only bit was worrying me was everything was trying to go through the middle again. We don't have it was like they were allowing us to go wide, just like go and cross it in. And playing it in their hands, and that's something we need to counteract because more teams will do that against us. I think we missed Kyogo with that dynamic movement in behind and to stretch the game. But I did think it was a bit of a hangover as well for the European match.
Yeah, I mean, Kyogo, when he plays, he'll create something out of nothing. Sometimes, or with a bit of movement, he'll create something. Ayeti's very much a player who you have to give service to for him to do anything. And to be fair, he didn't get much service on Sunday, but, he was quiet. 41 crosses we had on Sunday. I said before the game, Euan, that I didn't want the wingers to just throw the ball in there because it's just meat and drink to those Livy defenders. That's exactly what they want to do. But we fell into that trap, as Jackie said. We ended up just putting balls into the box. How do we get out of this funk on the road, and how much of a worry is it at the moment?
I think in terms of Sunday, it was interesting that I would say his best chance was just a pretty straightforward ball from Sorrow, takes on the turn and has a shot. It's a little frustrating we couldn't see more of that, but in terms of the season, I'm not actually too disappointed. And after Sunday, it was annoying, and I didn't like the result at all. Felt a bit sore about it for a couple of days, but I mean, I would have been absolutely delighted with a draw considering the context. So I mean, to lose to a very high quality goal from Andrew Shinnie, I'm not as disappointed as I was. I still think there's so much potential in this group, and there's so many caveats at the moment that we're working with. Ange hasn't got his own backroom staff yet. It's full of brand new players, and we've been really, really unlucky with injuries. So I don't think it's entirely fair to judge Postecoglou quite yet. And I remain kind of optimistic that he can turn this around. I think we would be kidding ourselves if we said there weren't going to be difficult results at the start of this, considering how much has changed. So yeah, it was disappointing, but growing pains. It's all growing pains. So.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. It's just how many growing pains are we going to put up with in terms of, I got a bit of slack on Twitter for suggesting that Ange should be, he shouldn't be exempt from criticism. He should be held to account. Jackie, do you think we have a mental block on the road when we're playing away from home at the moment?
No, I think, I think you just touched on it there. That it's a new team. There is so many changes there. And they have been a bit unlucky, but I suppose any team can say that, with injuries and COVID and different things that's been going on. But they have to have that mentality about them. You have to have that winning mentality, even if they've not playing to their best football, they should be able to grind out, difficult venues, different results. And
Do you think they have that winning mentality, Jackie? Do you think there is a winning mentality?
They don't at the moment, and that's clear. I think when you're missing players out, obviously McGregor's been a big loss as well. Just start things off in the middle. And I think that's when you look at the squad. We've brought a lot of players, a lot of change in the summer. But it does take time for the other players not just to come in and understand the way the manager wants to play, but also understand the demands of the club and, and the importance of winning every match and how, and what's expected of them.
You were at Celtic for 10 years. I dare say you went through phases in the team where you struggled, especially away from home. How do you get round that? Is it just a case of getting that one win under your belt that will change everything, or is it much, more longer term?
Yeah, I mean, there's people saying today it's the worst start in the league since '98. We won the league in '98, So, we had a bad start. Again, new manager, new players. Take time to come in and settle. We bring in, quality players coming in. It took time to understand the way Vim wanted to play and how he wanted his team to set up. But once we got into gear, we didn't look back. We just went into a rhythm and a way of playing. Everybody knew their jobs, and it could be the same, with Ange. I think a lot of the things that he's put across are exciting. The way he's branded football, be a few tweaks here and there, and maybe, going away from home against Betis and scoring 3 goals, you think, right, we'll come away with something there. There's one thing, the games are going to be exciting, apart from obviously the Livingston game. I'll put that more into the location and the pitch and everything else, because even with great teams and over the last number of years, we've struggled there.
Yeah, just to go back to what you just said there in terms of the Wim Jansen stuff, do you see similarities there? You've got a manager coming from a far-flung place, all right, not as far as Australia, but he wasn't known in Scottish football. Even like the kind of Kyogo Henrik type thing, like this new superstar up front. Is there similarities there?
Yeah, and I think as fans, and you can see when you're watching, you can see that what he's trying to do. You can see he has a structure, he has a way of playing, and you can, it's not like you're looking at it and he's scratching his head and he's changing his system every week, and he's changing his mind. He's playing 3, he's playing 4, and the players don't know if they're coming or going. He has a way of playing, and the players that he's got just now will have to sort of buy into that. And if they don't, he looks the type that he'll just say, do you know what, I'll give you an opportunity. Let's go and get some more reinforcements in January, and I'm sure that'll be the case. Obviously he's only as good as the players that he has that he can work with. But I do believe that the signs there that he will be a top manager for us.
Yeah, hopefully. Euan, we've been amazing at Celtic Park, breathtaking at Celtic Park. Away from home, I think we've lost every game apart from Jablonec. What do you think we aren't doing away from home that we do so well at home?
It's difficult to say, because I think obviously at Livingston we had all those crosses, and you could point at the width that we didn't have last season, and say we brought that to our game, and why isn't that working? I don't know. It'd be easy to say they're all tough venues. Tynecastle's a nightmare. Obviously the Tony Macaroni is. It's called the Tony Macaroni. That's a problem in itself. But I honestly, I don't. There's maybe a lack of intensity. You could point at. I think we're more ponderous on the ball against Livingston at times. Yeah. I think obviously there's a confidence thing for newer players. If you're playing in a hostile atmosphere, you've barely had time to bed in. I think that's going to have an impact. And we've been unlucky with injuries. I think that it doesn't really get said enough. I mean, he's had to play a different team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's had to play a different team every single time. I'm trying to think of when we've played the exact same 11 twice in a row. I think we've done it more than once.
Back four, have we played the same back four and goalkeeper
exactly.
in 2 consecutive games? But I mean, that's up to, I know he's got mitigating circumstances, but it's up to the manager again to get the kind of same players at the back there. Jackie, you get any theories for why we struggle so much away from home?
Yeah, I think there's a number of reasons. One, obviously, personnel, time to there. I don't think he changes anything. Even the Betis game, we went 2-0 up and with a chance to go 3 up, but we just keep playing the same way, which is, it's good to watch at times, but you think, right, you know what, let's keep a clean sheet here. Let's keep it tight. And maybe he doesn't do that because he's not got the personnel, to soak up the pressure. Maybe that's, the players that he's got just now wouldn't deal with sitting back and trying to catch teams in the break. He has to play a certain way. I suppose only he knows that, what he's got in his dressing room, what he's got to work with, and try to use that to the best of his ability. I do think it will take another window or two till he really gets his stamp on things. A lot of things in the summer would have been rushed. A lot of players would have been rushed, players' targets that he really didn't get. But I think with his judgment on Kyogo alone, you can really see that's his signing, that, you've got to trust his judgment, that he can spot a player, he can spot the potential and what they'll bring to his team. So
what you're saying, reading between the lines, is go to Japan in January and sign a whole team of Japanese internationals.
I think he's been more places than that, but yeah, I think he'll know. As I said, he's an experienced coach and manager, international as well. He'll know what he wants and what he needs, and I think obviously the important thing is that he gets backed with that in the next window, because the time he came in and what he did at the start, which I kind of agree with as well. He gave everybody a chance pre-season. Players coming in, young players. He let them play in some of the bounce games, the friendly games. Like in the summer, I think everything was rushed. The players coming in, I don't think he had time to really see what he needed and what he wanted. There's players coming in, and I think the next window will be crucial to that, what he needs and what he thinks. Defensively, I still think we're very short, in terms of strength in the defence. We look vulnerable at times. We don't look a set back four. So I know the way he wants to play, full backs are bombing on, but I don't think the centre backs we've got are equipped to deal with things down the side of them yet, which obviously they need to do a lot more work on that.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be given time, isn't he? We know how Celtic operate. Celtic don't. I mean, it's not even a subject or a topic of conversation right now, apart from me right now, but Celtic aren't going to, do anything rash. They're going to give Ange a lot of time to get this team to where he wants to be. We know, I think in Australia, he took a lot of time at some clubs. I think Brisbane Roar took a while, but he turned them into like one of the best teams Australian football has ever seen. But, this is Celtic, and we need to win games away from home. We can't be a team who loses every time they play away from home in the league, and the team have to grind, dig deep and grind for these results in the coming weeks, because we've got Hibs, we've got Aberdeen, and we've got Motherwell coming up away from home, 3 grounds that we really struggle at every season. So the team have got to dig deep. Just when you're talking about the defence, Jackie, just being positive, Joe Hart, I think, is playing quite well. I quite like the look of him. And Cameron Carter-Vickers as well. Maybe you're right, maybe kind of balls down the wing. At times he's not the quickest, but I've been quite kind of impressed with his start at the club. Yeah.
Coming into it as well and playing with new players, I think he's been okay. He's been steady enough. He will get better, and once they have the set back four, the understanding and the communication will be better as well. Like many a time last year when we did play a 4, if the left back was forward, they should be shutting across, and there should be 3 there, so we're not getting exposed down the sides. Because that's only kind of an open play, and you've got so much possession. Like again, I think it was 70% possession against Livingston. Yeah. But you're still open to the counter attack, and it's just making sure that the back they're switched on and concentrating. Like one kick up the park, and we're not losing a goal.
I think it might even been 80% on Sunday against Livingston, which is just remarkable. Euan, Carter-Vickers, Hart.
I like Carter-Vickers. He's just got such presence about him, and it's not just about being a big bulky a centre back who can win aerial duels and that kind of thing. On the ball, he's excellent as well.
Yes.
And I think having that combination is really promising. I don't like, every time I've seen him, even playing for Bournemouth or sporadically for Spurs, I've thought he's a pretty good player. I always thought he was quite underrated, and to bring him in was a good bit of business. Joe Hart I continue to be impressed by. I mean, you could maybe argue that he could have positioned himself a bit better for Shinnie's goal, but I think that'd be quite harsh. And captain again, it's really unfortunate that both games he's captain we've lost. I think that doesn't really reflect on him. But I think, yeah, as I say, there's the kernels. There's the making of something decent and solid there. But these things, even when we had Van Dijk and Denier, are like really really established defenders have gone on to do great things. It took time for them to adjust, so it's still very 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 early. And yeah, just got to hope it gets more reliable from here.
Yeah, very early for CCV, for Hart, for James McCarthy as well, but it hasn't stopped a lot of people from being quite critical, in my opinion, overly critical of James McCarthy. There was also a report that emerged yesterday via The Athletic. Basically, it said a lot of things, but basically it said that James McCarthy has been struggling with the pace and intensity of Ange's training. Now, James McCarthy has had COVID. He didn't have any pre-season at all. I don't think he had a club before signing for us. So it's perhaps not quite as concerning as some people would think. But, Jackie, is it concerning that stuff like this is getting out to the press from the inner sanctum of the Celtic training ground or the dressing room? Or is it always just likely?
Yeah, it's something you experience over the years, but you normally hear little things when things aren't going too well. When they're winning, there's nothing said. It's just that when it's when they're not got the right results, things are magnified quite a lot. And it is, I agree with you. I mean, he's not played a lot of football over the last number of years, James. It was a bit of a gamble signing because he is a quality player if he's fit. But again, it's just getting him fit, and keeping him, maintaining that fitness, and hopefully he can do that because if he does get to the levels that he can, then we'll have a good player in the books.
Well, I've read the Jackie McNamara book, and there's points in there, Jackie, when you were unhappy about certain things getting leaked, mainly about your time leaving Celtic. Was there any time when you were maybe things that happened in training that got leaked when you were at Celtic that you weren't too happy about?
Yeah. It was, again, when things weren't going great, when certain little things, if it was a fight in training, which happened, a few times in my time, with Henrik and Tosh, different things. But again, it's part and parcel. Not all the players got on. Not all the players there, and there's different agendas. There's players maybe think they should be playing or speaking to somebody else outside. But when you win, there's nobody can say anything. That's the secret. Keep winning.
And I was reading the interview with Mark Viduka recently, and that was probably an example of something coming out in the press. That was quite a combustible kind of incident. I mean, how did you sort of perceive all that and the fallout from it? Did you see it as something that was going to be really damaging long term, or what were you kind of thinking at that point?
With John Barnes?
Yeah.
I actually wasn't playing. Just put the record. I wasn't playing the Inverness game, and I wasn't in the dressing room. But obviously, the lads told me what happened. I think Eric had a pop at Viduka and called him lazy or something, and it was back to me then, and he didn't go back out second half. It was all different. There's all different things going on at that point, and obviously John had lost his job at that just after that. Again, if we'd won, nothing would have been said. And that's the way football is. It's if you don't win, then these little things come out, and there's unrest, or there's unhappiness, which there should be unhappiness. There should be discontent in there because you want to win, and the players need to win.
Right, Celtic released their PLC results today. The kind of headline figure is a loss of £11.5 million from last year. Chairman Ian Bankier blamed that on a fall in transfer revenue and also, of course, a lack of fans during the pandemic. Celtic made £9.4 million from the sales of Frimpong, Hendry, remember him, and Klimala. The Ayer and Edward sales will be included next year. Euan, I'll throw this one over to you and just dodge any kind of financial questions from now on?
Oh, I'm not the person to ask me. You should see my bank account. It's a joke. No, it was all kind of sort of your typical PLC kind of waffle for me in bank here, but I thought it was really interesting some of the stuff that Michael Nicholson was saying. It was the first time he really kind of engaged with fans, albeit on a PDF document you have to download, but still, not enough recognition for the supporters, I don't think. A lot about thanking departing figures like Peter Lowell and Neil Lennon and all that stuff. Not really enough for me about fans essentially not keeping Celtic afloat, but definitely keeping Celtic in a much healthier financial position than it could have been. Even through lockdown, people were buying the shirts, people were buying pay-per-view, people were buying all sorts of stuff. And when it came to season ticket time, and Celtic fans didn't need to be asked twice, so a bit of recognition for that would be good. But in fairness, I will say I think the value that they got for the likes of Bio and Shved and Hendry and well, maybe less so Hendry, but Klimala, you have to say that's probably quite good business. So as ever when it comes to board stuff, I'm going to remain quite cynical.
Yeah, they're not great at reading the room, Celtic, really.
No.
And I think you're right. I think the mentions for Lowell and Lennon it just strikes me as kind of saying well done to your mate and not really worrying about what anyone else thinks. Jackie, I don't think we got your thoughts on Dom Mackay leaving. Were you surprised as the rest of us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought you'd been there for a good while anyway. A bit of a shock, and I suppose like everybody else, wondering why, what the reasons are. But obviously, nothing came out that side from the club. I'd met him a couple of times, and he seemed a decent bloke, and dealing with him. So, no, I hope it was nothing, that is a worry for him. It's wish him good luck in the future. But yeah, see what happens from here.
And are you guys concerned about the future, both on and off the pitch, with what's happened in the last week?
I'm not. No, I think, I think there's always going to be change. There's always going to take time. We've had little bits there at the start was a worry. The Champions League qualifiers there, Michelin games. Then you look at the other ones and you can see encouraging signs. Dundee game and getting through. It is going to take time. I think there'll be a few ones where we go, it's not been a great result or maybe a shock to the system. But I think through time, I think he'll get that consistency and get the team playing the way he wants.
I think that's kind of how I feel as well, Euan. But just as I say, we are Celtic and we can't go away, away from home and lose every time we play a Livingston or a Hearts. We need to start winning on the road. That's my big worry. At home, I think we're absolutely fine. I think we've got a great manager there, a manager who is honest and resonates well with the support. I think he's got a team that in general are playing for him. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. We're a bit short in some areas, but I think in general it's a kind of a positive direction that we're going still.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I could say about the board probably isn't suitable for broadcast purposes, but like in terms of the team and what we're doing on the pitch, as I say, we're getting there. I think it's about backing Ange Postecoglou as much as possible at this stage, and it's all fine bringing players in, and they did some great transfer business, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. But I'm sure you can agree with this, Jackie. When you come into a new environment, you want to have the option to bring people that you know and trust to come with you. Where's Ange Postecoglou, Simon Donnelly, for example? There's no one really. He's had to not only ingratiate himself with a whole new playing staff, but also a whole new backroom staff. I think for the club to meaningfully progress on the pitch, that's a really, really important factor. And I don't think they should be downplayed at all. But then I don't think I'm quite dramatic like that. So yeah.
But Jackie, it all goes if you're winning. It all goes. I think that's the lesson that we're taking from today. Just win games, and everything else is immaterial.
Absolutely, that's the secret. Just win. Nobody asks, nobody bothers about the staff. Nobody bothers about certain things going on behind the scenes. You just want to see your team winning.
Defo. Right, guys, thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll reconvene, I think, this time next week. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and we'll speak to you soon.